Yes. When a Democrat is sworn in to
exactly.
uphold the Constitution.
So to pivot a little bit towards something more local, coming up in a little less than 2 weeks from now is the 4-year anniversary
Yeah, it's 4 years.
of marriage debate.
Yeah.
Which you brought up.
Yeah, I got in
In
trouble.
a letter. Yeah, I that's on there too. You might have gotten blamed in 2004.
Yeah, how do you like that? I woke up after election day and then had to deal with that one. Looking around, 6 billion people on the planet are pointing fingers. It's pretty extraordinary. Let me tell you, I was thinking about this the other day. You have every single presidential candidate, save maybe one. I haven't frankly checked in with Huckabee on this, though someone quickly can find out. That all appear reasonably open to civil unions. And I remember, it wasn't that long ago, when Howard Dean, in his book, referenced a conversation he had with Bill Clinton, who said, Bill Clinton did, and I didn't appreciate this, but we can agree to disagree. He said, you have given up your right ever to be President of the United States, Governor Dean, because of your support of civil unions. He was the maverick, remember, on civil unions. Now it's the mainstream position. Dick Cheney shares it. We know that, as do all the presidential candidates on the Democratic side. So we have come an enormous way in just a few years, an extraordinary way. We had a hard time in San Francisco when I started Local Positive. Domestic partnership was just, people were going insane. I mean, Catholic Charities had, they said we're going to pull out of investing in our city. Salvation Army got out of the city. Sky was going to fall in. These big multinational corporations saying this is the end of the world as we know it. That was domestic partnership. That wasn't many years ago. Democrats had a hard time with that. Now, domestic partnerships seem insulting. I mean, talk about separate and unequal. Now it's civil unions. I'm convinced we're going to look back at civil unions as we did domestic partnerships go. That's separate and unequal. Boy, that's insulting. You can't have two institutions for the same thing. Marriage is marriage. Civil unions are civil unions. I don't see any presidential candidate, Democrat or Republican, that supports civil unions that is calling to get rid of their marriage certificate and call for a civil union. There's something about marriage. And as long as there's something about an institution that not everyone can join, only on the basis of sexual orientation, let alone race and ethnicity, then it's fundamentally flawed, fundamentally wrong, and for me, fundamentally unconstitutional. Until we have a constitution that is advanced for all Americans, then we can't have a foundation in which to grow all these other proposals that we're talking about. So to me, this is sacrosanct. And I'm very intense about it. And I disagree with my good Democrats on this, but I think it's politics more than it is core.
And it's a big leap of faith and leap of courage to actually go out and say that this is what's right. And it's just, good policy over good politics.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. I mean, it was the same thing was said in 1967 when 16 states denied interracial marriage. 67, not 37, not 27, 1967. 16 states until Loving versus State of Virginia finally threw that out in the Supreme Court. And it's very interesting. It's a really true story. People need to remember this. Blacks couldn't marry whites, whites, Asians, African Americans, etc. couldn't marry in 16 states in the United States in 67. Overwhelming majority of Americans opposed interracial marriage at the time because it was not traditional marriage. What's next? Again, the sky is going to fall in. And there was a famous decision where a judge said the following. He said to, I'm not sure he said this directly to the Loving family, but said it nonetheless, said, God, sir, put different races on different continents for a reason. God never wanted the races to mix. Are you kidding me? That was in my lifetime.
Wow.
So we use God, we use religion, we use tradition, we use all those things, and then we use hyperbole about the world coming to an end, and dogs will marry cats, and pomegranates will marry watermelons, and what's next? No one's arguing for anything next. If you believe in gay rights, and it sounds to me like all these politicians do, they acknowledge inherently something about two people of the same sex having some rights. If you're going to acknowledge some, but can't acknowledge all of them, then you're running the 90-yard dash, and that's un-American, and it's certainly undemocratic, and that's my party's Democrat, not democratic in the context of America. And I don't think the Democratic Party will long stand on a separate but unequal platform. And that's why I think we're in trouble on this unless we just cut to the chase and do what Kucinich and do what Mrs. Edwards has done and do what everyone else has done and just get it out of the way. Say, we're for equality, period. Move on to the next thing. Let's talk about education, healthcare, and the environment, and other things, because that's what most people care about.
And we might find out soon here in California, the city wins this case.
Yeah, well, we got those judges there, my friends. My father was on the Court of Appeals for years. I wish he was still on there. I know he'd have to be recused. He was one of those activist judges. It's ironic, most of these activist judges have been Republicans that have read the Constitution. It's interesting, someone else who apparently has read the Constitution is the president. And it's suggestive the president is pretty upset about the Constitution that he always is talking about embracing because he wants to change it. He wants to right discrimination. I love this. Here's these guys, there's Pat Buchanan and all these serious folks on Fox Network. We're going to, and they ask the questions of the Romneys and the McCains. I'm going to appoint constitutional constructionists, not one of these activist judges that are writing laws. Yet their own president is arguing to change their constitution. Seems to me a little disconnect. And for Mitt Romney and others that believe that these constitutional amendments need that, it seems that someone should do a follow-up question and try to square that. Sir, what is wrong with the Constitution that you need to feel needs to be changed? And there's a reason it needs to be changed. They're right. There's nothing in the Constitution that allows people to be discriminated based on their sexual orientation. And so that's a kind of an unfortunate position for the Republican right in this country. And that's why ultimately there's going to be gay marriage. And that's a wonderful thing because everyone should be treated the same way.
From your lips to 9 judges a year.
Yeah, please. I know it's tough, but do the right thing. You'll be known in history for having done the right thing. That's courage. That's nobility.
So to come more local for a second,